On the night of June 11th, 1962, inmates Frank Morris and brothers John and Clarence Anglin escaped from Alcatraz Federal Penitentiary, the maximum security prison on Alcatraz Island in San Francisco Bay, California. The Zodiac Killer, also known by the pseudonym The Zodiac, is an unidentified serial killer who murdered at least 5 people in the San Francisco Bay Area between December 1968 and October 1969. Dan Cooper, best known as D.B. Cooper, was the alias of an unidentified man who Northwest Orient Airlines Flight 305, a Boeing 727 aircraft flying from Portland, Oregon to Seattle, Washington on November 24th, 1971. In this video, I'm going to be explaining to you how all of these are actually the same exact person.
As we can see, John Anglin's hairline starts off, he has a pretty big forehead. It goes up, and then it has a dip, and comes back up, and then down. We can see the same type of hairline on the Zodiac Killer's sketch. It goes up, pretty big forehead, dips down, and goes back down. We can also see that, we can also kind of see that in the sketch of D.B. Cooper. But as we know, D.B. Cooper is around, 4 years after 4 to 3 years after the Zodiac Killer, and about 10 years after the escape of John Anglin. So his hairline has probably receded even more. But we can also see that the face shape matches up. The jawline of John Anglin is sharp, and he has a squared out bottom of his chin. So does the Zodiac Killer, and so does D.B. Cooper. We think that D.B. Cooper was alone on his trip because John Anglin killed Frank Morris and his brother, which is why we put this here.
Yes. As you can see at the start of the timeline, Josh, in 1962, at the start when he was escaping, he killed the other 2 passengers aboard his makeshift rowboat, or whatever, raft, I mean. Sorry. Then he went and he stayed around in his area, and he was like, you know what? I read those little comic books as a kid. And so what I'm gonna do to make them not know it's me, I'm gonna put on some glasses. I'm gonna put on some glasses, and they're never gonna know it's me. And this actually worked, which is why the Zodiac Killer has glasses, because it's actually Josh wearing glasses so that he isn't getting caught. And then he realized that he just really, really likes puzzles and riddles and all that type of stuff. And so he decides, I'm going to go around and kill all these people. I've already escaped prison. So I gotta kill these people and steal from them so that I can survive. So he started killing these people, and he started stealing from them so that he could make his way and do all this puzzles and send all this stuff to the newspapers. I mean, it's a sick man. And then the Zodiac Killer, which is Josh, as we know, realized, damn, I'm running out of money. I need some quick and easy money. Previously, as this robber guy, Josh, he realized he has to go back to his roots. He's got to do some crazy heist that'll have him set for the rest of his life. So he heads up to Portland, Oregon, and decides he's going to hijack this plane and get away with all this money. And of course, he's completely successful in doing this. So now we know that he has all this money, and we know that he survives. He survives his jump out of the airplane, and then he returns and writes the final letter to the newspapers as a Zodiac killer, finally confirming his total kill count to the FBI in 1974.
And as we know, the San Francisco and Oregon are both Portland, Oregon are both on the West Coast, meaning they're not that far away from each other. And
Exactly.
and with how and we know that the Zodi when Josh or John, whatever his name is, his alias was changed to D.B. Cooper.
Yes, Josh and
Look, if
Josh
we
and
look at Josh Algin's name, we can see that that there is no the only letter in
compadre.
there in
Hold
in
it there,
in
compadre.
DB Cooper in John Anglin's name is O.
If you think about this, if you really think about this, my loyal viewers, B is the second letter in the alphabet. A is the first letter in the alphabet. Algin, or whatever his last name is, A. So he decided to make sure that they don't know it's him, his alias is going to be DB Cooper. That's why it's also in the second place, because B
Yes, yes,
is
yes,
the
yes.
second letter of the alphabet.
Yes, in Z is the last letter of the alphabet, which is why he's the Zodiac which is why the Zodiac killer is actually a time traveler.
As we can tell, 1962 is when he escaped prison. And if you swap those numbers around, you get 26. 2026 is the year we are currently in. This means the Zodiac Killer has traveled into the future with his time traveling abilities into 2020.
Oh my gosh.
We're really putting this piece of this puzzle together. But nobody listens to us, and they won't listen to us,
And
but we're right.
as we all know, they all had 46 chromosomes.
That is why the Zodiac Killer in 1974, D.B. Cooper perished immediately after sending that letter because of those 46 chromosomes. They caused him deathly lumbago, and he died on the spot.
And as we know, lumbago makes your entire body go boom.
Exactly. So, he had to call the police after he died. Specific,
God
he
damn it,
called
you
for Officer
idiot!
Boulder.
He can't call the goddamn police if he's dead, you idiot!
But that's why he called the police, because he is dead, and he wants to not be dead. So he called the police.
You're fucking wrong. He would have called the ambulance.
Yes, but a quicker way to get to the ambulance is if you hitch a to get to the ambulance.
Are you trying to tell me he called Officer Bowles?
Exactly.
Is this why Arkham Asylum is 26 gigabytes?
26? 2026.
Oh my
I'm
god.
always making the connection.
And as we know, 2026 is when time travel was invented?
As we all remember, Terminator 2 Judgment Day is actually a documentary documenting how the Zodiac Killer time traveled into the past in order to Zodiac kill people.
And as we can see up here, near r/boss fight, there's a very long highway in California with the car of D.B. Cooper, aka the Zodiac Killer, aka Josh Algin, aka the first time traveler.
First time traveler will bring an extinction to our species. Extinction, you say? That reminds me of the dinosaurs. This is because there is a dinosaur called the Zodiac Killersaurus.
Which is why we can see over here near the boom, we can see the Zodiac Killersaurus. we can see that he has a very similar ear shape and hairline of a time traveling Zodiac killer. Meaning the
And
Zodiac
as
killer
we all
is the
know,
one who created the Zodiac Killerosaurus.
the plane that DB Cooper boarded on that fateful day in 1977 was made out of Fruit Loops. This all connects us back because the Zodiac Killersaurus only feasted on fruits on the trees.
And as we know, Batman 2022 was released in 2022. And what's the last letter? What's the last number of 2022? It's 2, which is also matches up with how in 1962 Frank Morris, John and Clarence Anglin escaped prison in 1962. The last number being 2.
And this all connects us to the PepsiCo company. As we all know, Michael Jackson's hair caught on fire in a Pepsi commercial, and this was very bad.
And then we also know that PepsiCo at one point had the fourth largest navy during the Cold War.
And as we know, the Cold War took place during the 60s, which all lines up with the Zodiac Killer.
Which is why the Zodiac Killer wasn't able to be caught, because the US was too focused on the Cold War, meaning that the San Francisco police force was fighting Soviet army troops in 66 million BC.
United States government, you're not slick. I'm on to you.
LeBron James hairline. LeBron James hairline. LeBron James hairline. I'm sorry for my profanity.
If you think about it, ostrich eggs are the size of a human head, which is why the eyeball of a giant squid is the size of a dinner plate. Did you know another name for dinner plate is DB Cooper?
And as we all know, the main thing that goes on dinner plates in November is turkeys. And
What's another name for turkey?
as we know, John Anglin was a famous turkey farmer.
That's why.
That's why he
That's
killed
why
his whole
Jaw.
family.
That's why.
Anyways, my loyal viewers, how would you describe this? How would you describe this content? Would you describe it entertaining, educational, useful, or relatable? Now let's get back to the video.
As we all know, turkey farmers are notorious for one thing and one thing only: purchasing copious amounts of rubber ducks for their bath time. And as we all know, the Zodiac Killer always made sure to take a bath before he boards any airliners.
And
Which is why,
as we also know, turkeys are horrendously addicted to opium and heroin.
which is why opium and heroin is banned in the San Francisco Bay Area, but only on Alcatraz Island, which is where Josh Brolin escaped from.
Which is why the Riddler is eventually sent to 26 gigabytes, also known as Arkham Asylum.
As we all know, that one time when Christopher Nolan came Arkham Asylum.
It was because he wanted to become the greatest film director of all time and create the famous movie Interstellar.
Uh, as we all know, As we all know, James Gunn was born in the waters of the San Francisco Bay, so he knows exactly how cold it is. Cold? Captain Cold? Captain Cold is held in Arkham Asylum.
Oh
Arkham
my god.
Asylum is held on an island, Fortnite Island. This is why Fortnite has been trying to tell us the entire time.
This is why Batman has had collabs in recent history with Fortnite and Epic Games. because Batman
Epic Games.
does not like the Riddler, and we all know that Josh Anglin is the Riddler.
As we all know, Jeffrey Brolin escaped on that fateful day from the island, just like we're trying to do in the Fortnite storyline.
And as we've seen from previous records of the Zodiac's Killer D&D character sheet, he played as a goblin who was 4'11", when in actuality,
And
the Zodiac Killer was actually 7'7", the same height as the player Wemby for the Spurs in 2026, which is why the Spurs will be winning the 2026 finals of the NBA.
as we all know, when we take a look at the DB Cooper case, we all remember that one time he handed a paper to the assistant where he said, "Hello, my name is Andrew Garfield, and I will be taking over this plane today that's made of Fruit Loops." He started eating vigorously, and that's why he didn't survive jumping off the plane, because he actually teleported.
That's an example of how he sounded when he was choking. Which is why he actually had a emergency dog in his briefcase, and when the dog exploded in his briefcase, it actually came as an emergency parachute. And the parachute, the airplane gave him, he dropped it off because he put a bomb in it, and when he blew it up, the Fruit Loops rained down on the forest he was above, which caused a storm that night, which is why every single report of the night that he hijacked the plane reported it as stormy, because a bunch of Fruit Loops and milk were dropping from the sky.
The extinction of the dinosaurs was caused by you know what another name for a meat? That's right, the Zodiac Killer, also known as Andrew Garfield, also known as Cheetos. So, we have the cheese industry to blame.
Which is why monkeys should be in everyone's top 3 favorite animal, because monkeys eventually evolved into humankind, which created the Zodiacosaurus, because the Zodiac Killer is human, which means he evolved from monkeys, because the Zodiac Killer evolved from monkeys, meaning he was able to create the Zodiacosaurus because he time traveled to 66 million BC, because
They're in your
monkeys
house, they're in your
evolved
house,
into
they're in your house,
humans.
they're in your house, they're in your house, they're in your house, they're in your house.
Ah! Help! 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 They're in your walls. They're in your walls. Listen to the voices. Listen to the voices. Listen to the voices.
Hey, listen. If you think about it, a cockroach's name is that because if you look at the bulletin board, there's bullets inside of a gun directly pointed at the Wojackosaurus.
And as we all know, cockroaches do not have 46 chromosomes, which is why they are not related to the Zodiac Killer at all.
But as we all know, humans have teeth in their mouth.
That's a good point. But also, you could also say that for Viltrumites, because Viltrumites have one eye and teeth in their mouth. Because teeth are used to chew on food. Except there's a teeth that people do not need anymore because they are outdated, which cavemen used to use to chew on raw meats.
And my loyal viewers, there have been many twists and turns in this theory. Many twists you didn't see coming. I'm going to reveal the true plot twist. The Zodiac Killer, also known as DB Cooper, also known as Jeffrey Dahmer, is the only person capable of soloing Satoru Gojo from One Piece.
This is because he has the devil fruit called the Cursed Energy Bankai Fruit, meaning he can kill anyone from the Bleached universe because his Bankai is so overpowered.
If you think about it, the Kamehameha is actually the most powerful weapon wielded by Thanos in the 9 Realms of Asgard on God of War Chapter 2.
Now, when you really think about it, though, the 9 Realms of Asgard from God of War Chapter 2 is actually the most powerful weapon Thanos ever wielded, because in Fortnite Chapter 2 Season 1, Midas turned him into gold.
In Chapter 5, Season 35 of Roblox, you'll realize that there is no true God. The only man in the sky is Wonder Woman.
then I actually met God, and she was female and a feminist, and destroyed the patriarchy in 19,622, the year when all of humanity was destroyed.
Humanity isn't real. It's a fabrication made by your mind to keep you inside of the Matrix.
And as we all know, if the multiverse theory is true, then every single thing can happen in every single universe, which means in every single universe there has to be either no Zodiac killer or a Zodiac killer or
If you
half
realize
of a
this,
Zodiac
you'll
killer.
really understand that every human on Earth is actually an artificial intelligence digital copy of the consciousness that was scanned by the VR headset that we all collectively put on the second we were born.
Which is why in 1967 the monster from under my bed decided to eat my mom, which is why the monster under my bed is now my mom, because he felt bad for the Zodiac Killer, aka me, because I am the Zodiac Killer, because I also have 46 chromosomes, which means I'm going to kill you.
But if you think about this, the weird man with a briefcase outside of your door really would like to be let in the house. He's a very kind man.
Let him in. Let
He-
him in. Let him in. Let him in. Let him in. Let him
There
in.
are no
Let him in.
consequences.
Let him in. 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 Let him in.